Syracuse, New York. Syracuse sophomore Tyus Battle has entered his name in the NBA draft, but he still has a big decision to make regarding his future. Battle has not signed with an agent, meaning he could still return to Syracuse for his junior year. Battle has received an invitation to the NBA's Combine in Chicago later this month. His ultimate decision must be made by May 30th, which is the NBA's deadline for underclassmen to either stay in the draft or remove their names from consideration. So what does Battle's decision mean for the Syracuse Orange? On Thursday, we examined the possibility of Battle returning to school and the impact that would have on the 2018-19 Orange. Today, it's the other side of the coin. What if Battle stays in the NBA draft? What will his departure mean for Syracuse? A look back. We went over Battle's role on last year's team on Thursday, but here is a quick reminder. In the words of my dad, Battle was Syracuse's bell cow. He was the leader. Everything revolved around him. Where he went, the rest of the Orange followed. The 6'6" guard led the Orange in scoring at 19.2 points per game. That was the highest scoring average for a Syracuse player since 2005, when Hakeem Warwick put up 21.4 points per game. He broke the school records for minutes in a season and average minutes played. Battle logged a total of 1,443 minutes in 37 games, snapping the old mark of 1,418 set by Johnny Flynn in 2009, and his 39 minutes per game was a full minute ahead of Billy Owen's old record set in 1991. Filling Battle's shoes if Battle decides to leave, Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim will need a new starter at shooting guard. The top two candidates would be Elijah Hughes, the 6'6" transfer from East Carolina who sat out last season, and Jalen Carey, the 6'3" freshman from Immaculate Conception High School in Montclair, NJ. Carey is a dynamic offensive player. He plays aggressively. Coaches like to say he gets downhill fast, a description of his ability to get past his defender and drive to the basket. East Carolina transfer Elijah Hughes could be a potential replacement for Tyus Battle next season. AP photo. Hughes is bigger and older. He also has a reputation as a better outside shooter, although he struggled from the three-point line in his 1 year at East Carolina. It's also important to point out that Carey and Hughes are both versatile in different ways. Carey is a combo guard and could be used at the point, while the 6'6", 215-pound Hughes Battle was 6'6", 205, could be used at small forward. You can't just replace a Tyus Battle. It would be short-sighted and foolish to think that Syracuse would be able to make up for Battle's production just by finding a new shooting guard. Boeheim must find other players to take on more minutes and more scoring. The good news is that Syracuse would seem to have several players who could be on the verge of taking big steps forward. Oshae Brissett averaged 14.9 points per game as a freshman. However, the 6'8" forward made just 35% of his shots. Brissett should become much more efficient with a year's experience and another off-season to work on his shot and add strength to his frame. Syracuse forward Marek Dolezaj averaged 5.8 points and 4.8 rebounds as a freshman, but he came on late in the year with some big games in the ACC and NCAA tournaments. Dennis DNet at Syracuse.com. Marek Dolezaj only averaged 5.8 points and 4.8 rebounds, but he came on strong at the end of the season. He started the last 17 games of the year. He scored a season-high 20 points in the ACC tournament against Wake Forest, and he had a 17-point game in SUS win over TCU in the NCAA tournament. A more confident Dolezaj could become a much bigger threat as a sophomore. Pascal Chukwu quietly put together a very good season at center after missing the bulk of the two previous seasons. And he did it without much of a backup as Barama Sidibe struggled with tendinitis in his knee for the entire year. A healthy Sidibe would make Syracuse much stronger at the center position in terms of depth and fouls, but also because the 6'10" freshman provides more offense than the 7'2" Chukwu. Impact on rotations. If Battle comes back, then Syracuse would return its entire starting lineup for the first time since 2000. That kind of stability would allow Boeheim to bring the likes of Carey, Hughes and Sidibe off the bench. Buddy Boeheim and Howard Washington would bring depth to backcourt. Hughes would likely spend more time in the front court with all that depth at the guard positions. If Battle leaves, Syracuse's starting lineup could look something like Frank Howard, Hughes, Dolezaj, Brissett and Chukwu. Obviously, Hughes' versatility is going to be a key as he starts at shooting guard, but would also be the best option at forward as a backup to Brissett and Dolezaj. Carey would become more important, too. He would play the 2 when Hughes moved to forward and would likely play the point whenever Howard needed a break. Washington, who is recovering from knee surgery, would be an option there, too. In an effort to find offense and outside shooting, Buddy Boeheim could come into play as a freshman. Forecast with Battle, Syracuse would have to be considered a top 25 team. Maybe closer to number 15 than no. 25. Without Battle, Syracuse is probably not going to be in anyone's preseason top 25, but the Orange will still have the chance to be pretty good. Syracuse's prospects would come down to two main areas: the development of the returning players and how the pairing of Hughes and Carey handles the two-guard spot together. Hughes and Carey make for an interesting tandem at the two because they're just so different. Hughes is much bigger, standing 3 inches taller than Carey, who looks to be the quicker of the two. How they will do is a huge unknown, as Carey is just a freshman and Hughes, whose 7.8 scoring average at AQ doesn't exactly jump off the page, didn't play last season. If you look at past history, Syracuse has a way of developing players. Just recently, players like Michael Carter-Williams, Jeremy Grant, and even Battle himself have taken huge strides as sophomores. So one could expect that Brissett Dolezaj and, hopefully, Sidibe will be ready to take on larger roles as sophomores. Syracuse might not be in the top 25 at the start of the season, but it's not unrealistic to think that the Orange could be ranked by the end of the campaign. Certainly, the Orange should be able to make the NCAA tournament without having to sweat it out on Selection Sunday as a bubble team.